Hey everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Experience.
Where it seems as though The Undertaker's final farewell is still going on.
Yeah, I've been reading that it's actually longer than his entrance now.
That's great. That's great. So, how many more weeks of this are we going to have in store for us?
In 6 months, I guess they'll still be talking about his final farewell. But I'm Jazz,
I'm Johnny.
and we are here to recap a very, very mediocre episode of SmackDown. It kind of felt very bland, did it?
Yeah, I don't think there was anything bad, but I don't think there was
Yeah.
anything like amazing. So it kind of just felt very meh.
Yeah, like not to hate on it or something like that. Like as you said, like it just there wasn't anything necessarily wrong with it, but it was just meh. Like I was just telling you before, it's kind of like you're eating food and then you realize that there's no seasoning, there's no salt, there's no nothing on it, and I don't know, it's just bland.
I love the food metaphor here.
But
You have
I
such a way with words.
thank you very much. But I mean, I did like the way that the show started. So we have SmackDown that opens up with Jey Uso, and he's all fired up, and he actually mentions the Undertaker's farewell, and he talks about his cousin Roman Reigns, about how he went toe to toe with Drew McIntyre, but guess what? Drew didn't beat my cousin, and then he introduces his number one Roman Reigns, but actually he didn't even get to fully announce Roman Reigns' name because his theme song just cuts him off.
Yeah, Roman's music cuts off his own cousin. Who would have thought? And Roman takes longer to get to the ring than The Undertaker does. So, what's going to end first? Roman's entrance or Undertaker's final farewell? It could go either way.
And
Place your
then,
bets.
yeah, essentially, then we get to basically see a recap of, Team Raw sweeping Team SmackDown. We see Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, where Jay interferes and he helps his cousin win. And then Roman's like, actually, I told you to leave the arena. Why did you come back? I never asked for your help. I never asked for your help, right? And then
That's true.
yeah, it's a fair point. And then he basically goes on and he asks Jey Uso, like, why do you think that Team SmackDown lost? Because they wouldn't listen, and they wouldn't listen because they don't fear you. They don't fear you because they don't respect you. We've heard this before. We actually heard that in a Survivor Series, and Roman is really getting into Jay's head right now.
And Jay looks like he's going to cry. This entire segment is Roman gaslighting Jay. Literally shows him the footage of him helping his cousin win that match because, like, I don't know what footage you were watching, but the one I was watching looked like Drew McIntyre was going to win. But it just further solidifies how much of a jerk Roman Reigns is. All
Mm-hmm.
this to say, he gaslights Jay into thinking that it's his own fault. And Roman doesn't like the way Jay makes him feel because he feels like he doesn't respect him because he doesn't put the fear in the other members of Team SmackDown. Very convoluted, twisted way to make him seem like it's his fault, which I totally appreciated. It was pretty good.
Pretty much. And so as Jey Uso is going up the ramp, we see Otis that comes out. They kind of exchange looks, and and then we basically are told that Otis is going one on one against King Corbin, but actually Jay wasn't done. He comes back and he nails him, and he basically assaults him with a bunch of chair shots. Pro
Yeah,
Otis.
it was the attack of the weird camera angle because the way Otis was coming down the ring, you could just tell something was going to happen, and that's what happened. And then we come back from the break, and this match doesn't happen, so we don't actually see Otis versus Baron Corbin because Otis is unable to compete. So we get a treat. We get Rudolph, and they're making fun of Otis for what just happened to him, and they're hyping themselves up because they're DZ and Rude are up, and they want the titles as a like kind of a nod to the Street Profits. They kind of wanted to make fun of the Street Profits there. So Street Profits come out, right, and they briefly talk about how they were the best of the best. They took the torch, but the power of positivity lives forever, so they can. So they put over the New Day there,
Hmm.
and they make fun of Rudolph. They call Ziggler HBK. Like
I love that.
I think I don't know who it was. I think it was Ford that literally thought that he was HBK. And then they made fun of Rude's mustache, which he doesn't have a mustache right now, even though it's November. He hasn't had one for a while, but I guess they were making fun of the mustache he had a couple months ago before he was off TV. And then we get a match. Playa, tag team match, playa.
Yeah, I mean
It was okay.
the match was okay, right? Like so, at the beginning we see a very nice double team face plant from the Street Profits to open up the match. Montez is about to go for a frog splash to end it early, but then Rude kind of pulls on his leg to no avail, and then Ford misses the frog splash, and essentially post break it's all Rude and Ziggler at this point. until Angelo Dawkins gets the hot tag. We see his impressive athleticism. We see that kind of running, and then he kind of spins, and then he kind of splashes the opponent. I don't even know what to call that.
I don't know Michael Cole said a neck breaker, but it didn't feel like a neck breaker. But
Yeah,
it was
no,
cool.
it looked yeah, it looked very cool, and yeah. So essentially, we think that the Street Profits are in control. We basically see that neck breaker. We get a spine buster on Rude. He gets a tag on Ford. Yeah, the anointment. And he gets a tag on Ford, and he hits him with a frog splash. And we think that he's won, but actually Ziggler breaks the count. Then there's a whole lot of convoluted stuff that happens. Ziggler hits a super kick on Dawkins, knocking him out. Right, so Dawkins is gone. Mm-hmm. Montez takes Ziggler and he throws him out. So Ziggler's gone, and then Bobby Roode just kind of rolls him up for the win. So a roll.
And it's important to note that the frog splash was not able to get the pin right away because he was nursing the injured ribs from the frog splash from the previously missed one, so that's why he couldn't capitalize on the cover. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty predictable. I remember telling myself as they go to commercial, I'm like, okay, so we're going to come back and Rudolph's going to be in full control until the hot tag happens, and then Street Profits might win, but I don't think they will because they want this feud to continue, so they're probably not. And that's exactly what happened, so a little bit predictable there.
Yeah.
But not bad. We move on. We get some progressive flow thing that they do every week. This time it's about Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn. And this preludes a Daniel Bryan interview where he's basically asked what his strategy tonight is. And he briefly talks about Jey Uso. His strategy is acceptance. He accepted that Jey Uso is fierce and he's got a devil on his shoulder right now. And he's also accepted that Sami Zayn is delusional. And he just wants to say that he's not out to get Sami Zayn. He's out to get his title. Yeah. And we go to commercial because we have a match between the two, right? Later on tonight.
But we do have an interview with the Familia, and Kayla basically asks if they're relieved, with this whole Seth Rollins saga being over. And I don't know if you felt that too, but Rey Mysterio kind of fumbled on his words multiple times. Like, I just didn't understand what he was talking about.
He was probably drunk from his Thanksgiving, the post-Thanksgiving meal. I don't know. Yeah. But he was stumbling.
If you want the TLDR, essentially, he basically talks about how he's really proud of his son Dominic for kickstarting his WWE career, and he's really proud of Aaliyah, becoming an independent, outspoken woman. And then King Corbin kind of butts in, and he speaks the truth, right?
Absolutely. Corbin totally nails this promo. He basically doesn't understand why they're such a happy family all of a sudden. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I kind of agree with him. And he makes a couple of cheap shots. Like, he says, oh, well, Ray, you didn't pass down your wrestling ability to your son, unfortunately, but you did pass down your bad sense of judgment to your daughter because she's dating Buddy Murphy, who is obviously not going to be there next Thanksgiving. So, honestly, great stuff from Corbin. I really enjoyed that promo. And guess what? We're gonna have this match later if you haven't figured it out.
Yeah, so now out comes Sami Zayn, and the poor guy gets the Sasha Banks treatment.
Yeah, but before that, we had the final farewell of The Undertaker.
Yeah, but I didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, good point, but we should mention it. And you're right, Sami Zayn does get the It's Boss Time commercials treatment. That didn't even happen this episode. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it.
It didn't. But essentially, after the break, he gets on the mic, and he's appalled to be wrestling a day after a holiday, but he doesn't even respect.
But this is the holiday, which is funny.
Yeah, so he doesn't even respect Thanksgiving, and then he quickly kind of switches his attention to Daniel Bryan, and how dare he dictate what Sami does to the title? Like, you had the chance to beat me at WrestleMania, but you didn't, which is a fair point. And you didn't do anything to deserve this match. And he basically talks about how the WWE management is trying to sabotage him. And out comes Daniel Bryan. And I thought that this was a really, really good match.
It was a little slow to start, though, at the beginning.
I mean, Sami Zayn
did try. Was better.
Yeah, Sami Zayn did try to kind of weasel his way out of the match early on. Like, I remember at one point he was like, "Oh, but he stepped on my hair" and all that stuff. I thought it was pretty funny. And
so good.
Daniel Bryan kind of just was fed up. He used his master in-ring technical prowess, and he kind of puts Sami on the mat, and he starts attacking his ribs, and he starts putting him in a bunch of submission holds. Daniel Bryan is like just the greatest. But the match picks up when Sami Zayn hits a sick brainbuster on the hardest part of the ring. So he kind of rakes his eyes. Yeah, he kind of rakes his eyes. He throws him into
Pushes
the
him
post.
into the ring post. Yeah.
Exactly. And then basically the match kind of just picked up right there.
Blue Thunder Bomb right after as well.
Yeah, but that move always gets a 2 count.
The ultimate false finish there.
Yeah, and the match ends in a count out though. Sami Zayn wins via count out.
Yeah, Sami Zayn is escaping to the stage. Daniel Bryan chases after him. They're fighting on the stage. Then they go backstage, but we don't know what's happening. The ref is counting, so we assume they're both going to get double counted out. But at around 8 seconds, Sami Zayn runs back down to the ring to make it in time. And where's Daniel Bryan, you ask? Well, he's getting beat up by Jey Uso backstage.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is there. He tries to break it up. He gets involved. They have a little altercation. But then Jay runs off. Kevin Owens checks on Daniel Bryan, and a good guy Kevin Owens is like, okay, ref, go check on him, make sure he's okay, and he goes after Jay. And so that's going to be a thing almost immediately after this commercial, right? Because we see Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso backstage, and KO is just telling them off. Like he tells Roman he treats his family like garbage, and he's going all out about that. And after he walks away, Roman is not happy, obviously. He gives Jay the look, basically saying that you need to make him fear you, which is the stuff he's been saying for a while now. So we're going to get this match. It's going to be our main event of the night, Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens.
So we do have our next match. We have Natalya versus Bianca Belair. Bayley comes out on commentary. She's still wearing the captain wristband, and she actually throws her shirt at Michael Cole. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was great, though. The best part of this match was Bayley on commentary, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the match was okay, to be honest with you. We get to see the power and athleticism of Bianca Belair. Her picking up Natalya is still a pretty impressive feat, knowing that Natalya is jacked as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, again, so she hits her with multiple shoulder attacks, and then kind of the action gets taken outside. There's some trash talk between Bayley and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair kind of... There's a little bit of back and forth going on with her and Natalya. Bianca is about to hit her with her right hand. Natalya moves out of the way. It hits Bayley. Action gets back in the ring. Bayley is pissed. She tries to get in the ring. Natalya kind of pushes her out again by accident. And that's how Bianca Belair picks up the win, because she rolls up Natalya.
Yeah, and it's important to mention that the whole narrative with Bayley on commentary is that she's disappointed in Bianca Belair for blowing it for Team SmackDown. You had Cole throwing shade the whole time, saying, but you were the first one eliminated. Remember, they talk about Peyton Royce, how Peyton Royce eliminated her and all that. And he really throws a lot of shade at Bayley. And this is the reason why they kind of argue, because Bayley's like, are you sure you want to be outside the ring? You don't want to get counted out? And then that's how the whole thing happens. Yeah. So it looks like we're going to get a Bayley-Belair feud.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to Paul Heyman, who's talking to Adam Pearce. It's announced a couple minutes later that it's just basically to confirm the main event, Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens, as you had mentioned. And
Adam Pearce is wearing glasses, though. I've never seen that. Is he like a different person on SmackDown? He wears the glasses, but on Raw he wears contacts or something?
Could be like Superman and Clark Kent sort of thing.
I'm down.
So now we have Murphy with the Familia versus King Corbin. Essentially, I don't even know how to describe this match. The Mysterios were healing it up.
The whole time.
Corbin is in full control of this match. Dominic gets in the ring where he tries to. That distracts Corbin. Rey Mysterio does the same thing. That distracts Corbin. Aaliyah gets in. Corbin is actually distracted. Murphy hits him with a knee to the face. There's some action going on to the barricade. But once again, Corbin actually hits him with a deep six. He's about to pin, but then Rey Mysterio gets in the ring. Like, what the hell was going on? Dominic gets involved once again.
Multiple times.
Yeah, and then essentially Murphy nails Corbin with a knee to the face. The ref counts until 2. Corbin puts his feet on the ropes, but Dominic actually moves his foot away from the ropes, and the referee actually counts to 3. But I don't understand. Like, why were the Mysterio family doing this and healing it up?
Well, clearly there's only one explanation, and it's that Seth Rollins was right all along.
Yeah, I mean, and then Corbin is really mad. He gets on the mic and he calls them spineless cowards, and he asks for a rematch, and he says that this time he'll be prepared. So we don't know what that means, but
this bothered me because I'm like, oh, ask for a rematch where this won't happen again. I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna stay steel cage. He's gonna stay steel cage. And he's just like, I'll be prepared. I'm like, oh my god, okay,
yeah,
sure. Why, you weren't prepared? And Corey Graves saves grace. He's like, what do you mean he wasn't prepared? Yeah, he was prepared to face Otis tonight. And I'm like, okay, fine, you got me.
That makes sense. Now, this actually really interests me and makes me happy. So we have Big E and Apollo. They're basically playing basketball with
a trash can.
With a trash can and a piece of paper. Sammy butts in and he says that he actually has an interview with Kayla, and
who's like behind them, right?
Yeah,
he's like right behind them.
Yeah, and he basically says that you guys are in the way, and he talks about beating Daniel Bryan in 10 seconds, and that's an amazing feat, right? And he also talks about Apollo and how he beat Apollo in 10 seconds. Apollo doesn't take kindly to that, and he kind of leaves. And then Big E talks about how Sammy's house doesn't really have a solid foundation, right? Like, your margin of error is so razor thin, and that your house is actually more like a house of cards. All it takes is a little flick or a little gust of wind, and he actually blows on Sammy.
This was actually really well done. Like, his metaphor was solid. I really enjoyed the house and like the margin of error. It was very good.
It was so good. And then Sammy kind of retorted saying that this is all sour grapes because your last IC title reign was many moons ago, in a reign that was largely forgettable. That's true. I completely forgot that Big E had won that title.
I remembered, but I don't remember anything about it. Yeah. He was a heel, right?
Yeah, and Big E basically applauds him. He shakes his hand, but he's holding it really hard, and he counts till 10.
He squeezes him. And he's like, and then he's right. You know what? You're right. 10 seconds is a long time. And he's like, walks off. I'll be all happy. And now Sammy doesn't want to do his interview. Kayla asks him, but he's like, no, leave me alone.
Oh my God.
And we cut the commentary, and this is the best part of the show, and it's only like 15 seconds. But Billy,
can I say it?
Go for it.
Oh my God, yes. Okay.
I will cut up now.
Thank you so much. Billy Kay. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Do you hear how excited I am? Like the sparkle in my eyes. But all that to say is that she
literally am blinded by the sparkle.
She slides into the commentary table and she hands them her resume, and she says, she's like, yeah.
The headshot.
But the funny
part...
In
movie business, it's a headshot, not a resume.
The funny part is that she's like, I have an extensive background in talking. And she points to the paper. She's like, I wrote it right here. So if you guys ever need my help. Yeah, exactly. And Michael Cole is just like...
And he's cut. But Kevin Dunn's not listening because he probably ate too much turkey. But we do get a camera cut, right? We get more Carmella action.
Yeah.
And Carmella is still dissing Sasha. She's like, now that your little schoolyard fight with Bayley's over, we can focus on that. Carmella's a dominant champion, and she compares herself to Sasha, saying that she was like her at one point. She was wanted, doing things for the fans, and that led to her losing everything. And that's not going to happen again. She snaps her fingers to kind of show how she's in control of everything, but nothing happens. You're expecting her to be handed something, but it doesn't work. She snaps again. You can tell she's getting irritated, and now she's finally handed a glass of champagne. But the hand that reaches out to her kind of rotates, and you can see that it's got the boss brass knuckles, so it's actually Sasha Banks, and then she beats her up and locks in the bank statement, and it's up to Adam Pearce and some other guy to break them up, and Sasha finally gets a one-up on Carmella there. That was nice.
Yeah, it was a really, really good segment. Excited to see what Carmella and Sasha are going to do. Like I said, Carmella, before her, I guess just her going away, she was putting up some really, really great wrestling matches, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. So now we have our main event. We have Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso. Kevin Owens, he starts up actually all fired up. He launches Jey into the barricade. The whole story, though, does change because Jey Uso kind of hits him and he throws him into the steel steps, which hurts Kevin Owens' left shoulder, his left arm. And essentially the whole match, Kevin Owens is nursing that left arm injury. Jey Uso is picking him apart with that injury, actually. And again, Owens does try to fight back, right? Like, he hits him with a super kick. He hits him with a couple of chops. But the moment that he tries to go for a pop-up powerbomb, his left arm kind of gives out. And Uso kind of takes advantage of that. He hits a super kick. He actually goes for an Uso splash. Kevin Owens gets up, but Jey Uso kind of reverses back with a headbutt. He goes again for the Uso splash. KO gets his knees up. So again, KO is just... Again, he's really relentless. But essentially, the whole match kind of ends in a disqualification because Jey Uso, I guess he's had enough. I guess he realizes...
He's just like, F this, I'm bored, and he pulls a steel chair out.
Yeah, and he basically hits Kevin Owens with a steel chair. And he's livid at this point, and he's kind of losing it. He goes and basically he takes the announce table and he kind of picks it apart. So you think that the table is going to be involved now. He gets back in the ring, but Kevin Owens hits him with the stunner, and then basically, as Michael Scott has once said, how the turntables. Kevin Owens basically takes a chair of his own, starts beating the crap out of him, but then he looks at the camera and he talks to Roman Reigns.
He does. He does.
It was so
He
good.
tells him. And it was really good, actually. Yeah. So he's beating up Jay, and he says that if Roman has a problem, he should say it to his face. He says, "I don't fear you." Continues the beat down. He's like, "Is this what you're gonna let me do to your family?" And he keeps going. He keeps going. He's telling Roman that he's not afraid, and he has to come to see him in his face. And then at one point, he goes back in the ring and hits him with a final stunner. And this whole time, we see cuts of Roman watching TV, and clearly, the last shot of him watching TV is him not being very happy. So it looks like we might have a Universal title feud.
Yeah, and
in the works here.
I did like one thing though from Kevin Owens. He said, "I'm the head of this table." He actually grabs a chair, sits down, and he calls out Roman Reigns. I thought that was a really, really, really good moment. So SmackDown, in my opinion, I give it a 6, to be honest. And the way I see it is that it starts off really strong. It ended really strongly. And then in the middle, there were like roll-up victories, count-out like wins. It just didn't feel...
The episode felt lazy to me.
Yeah,
there was nothing really wrong with it.
Yeah.
But nothing really...
Lazy is actually the right way of actually describing it. So good job.
Wow, thanks, man. I have a way with words, they say. I mean, you're right, though. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. That's going to be a good feud. And I hope it elevates Kevin Owens a bit, because I feel like he's been kind of stumbling. Like he's never been like super low on the card, but he's not been on the same level that he has been. So I hope that happens. And we could potentially have a Jey Uso Otis feud, which could be cool. This whole Rey Mysterio angle actually is somewhat interesting, because why are they heels now? Who knows? So that could be interesting.
Yeah, who knows? Exactly. I mean, like, again, I second your opinion, I guess. And I don't know. I guess after the high that we were on with Monday Night Raw, I was expecting maybe a little better episode of SmackDown, but honestly, it was lazy. And,
Monday Night Raw felt a lot better than SmackDown this week.
Yeah. But hey, guys, that was our recap for SmackDown Live. Did you agree with us? Did you think that, SmackDown kind of was a little so-so or a little meh? Or did you think that we were wrong and that, it was actually really, really good? Let us know in the comments below. And since you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. The button's right there. The like button is right there. And that's it, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
I'm so glad he who must not be named was not on this episode of SmackDown again. I'm purposely not saying his name.
You say that, and now we're going to jinx it, and he's going to become the Universal Champion. He's going to bully Roman Reigns.
I want to see that, though. I would actually like to see that.
Now, I do have a legit question for you, though. How do you think that this Undertaker's final farewell is going to end? Because they really left us in a cliffhanger.
My God. I hope that on Monday night, it's just never mentioned again.